Welcome to Endurance, your weekly spiritual workout.
If you're watching on YouTube, click on subscribe and go to our website and sign up so you won't miss out on anything we're doing.
I'm Stephen, and
I'm Nathan.
this week we're looking at being flexible, which we've had to do a lot during COVID, how we've had to wear masks, stay indoors, we've had to change plans and stuff. So that's what we're looking at today. Enjoy.
Prayer 262 is changing. We've got some really exciting things we're going to be bringing in to be doing it. It'll be from 4 o'clock weekdays, Tuesday to Friday. Prayer 262.
Yeah, on Facebook and YouTube. And we're going to have Peter joining us for a vlog daily to encourage us in our own prayers.
We'll also be introducing daily family prayers, which will be inspiration for you in your home and your life on different ways you can pray depending on the situation you find yourself in.
So prayer 262, 6 minutes of prayer, 2 minutes thanking God.
And we have a vlog and we have daily family prayers. There's lots we're looking forward to with prayer 262. So go deeper. We're looking at being flexible. And as we were trying to film this stuff today, we had quite a calamitous situation. For us, we had all the lighting and the camera set up and all the rest of it. The software was all good to go. We've got the mic stands, all the rest of it. And every time we started to try and do some filming, we switched onto the camera and it was a really badly pixelated image. So I didn't do a very good job of what you should do in these situations. I ended up flapping about quite a bit, which I don't always do. But we uninstalled apps on various things. We updated software. We restarted and rebooted. We shut down. We did it again. We reinstalled. We uninstalled. And we did everything possible to try and fix it. We moved where the lights were positioned and how we are. And we checked everything that was going on. And then out of sheer frustration, I turned off a light. The mains light, not one of the studio lights. And all of a sudden, the problem resolved itself. We'll come back to that. But isn't that a great illustration of life, my failure? That actually sometimes there's a really simple solution. And we can be so hard about what we've got to do, we forget to think about what we could do. Let's jump into James chapter 4 as we look at this. Verse 13 through 16. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow, we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. And that's James 4, 13 through 16. If you've ever been in a bath or a swimming pool and you've hit the water, you're giving it a good whack as hard as you can, what happens? Well, your hand hurts because you've hit the water. Apologies to any scientific physics type people out there, but the basic what I see is this, is the water responds to the speed of your hand and it basically becomes harder. It becomes more resistant when you hit it harder or faster rather. And if you want to put your hand in the water for it not to hurt, you do it gently and it goes in. Flexible. The water flexes for your hand. I read a book by a really great guy. He was a soldier from the Special Air Services here in the UK. And he was talking about some stuff to do with the First Gulf War. And they'd had this guy from the United States military come along, and he talked about what happens if you get captured by the opposite force, the people you're fighting. That they're not going to be nice to you or polite to you. So how are you supposed to respond in that situation? You're probably going to be made into a prisoner of war, and various soldiers were. And what he said was this: he had been taught to be all bravado and strong, and I'm good, and I'm bigger, and I'm tougher, and I'm not being fazed by this, and nothing you can do can scare me. And what happened was he got more and more physically battered and emotionally scarred. And what they learned from that was when you're a prisoner of war, you need to appear weaker and more meek and more respectful and more unable to do things. And all of a sudden they won't see you as such a threat and someone that they want to punish and hurt. You'll actually come out of it quite a lot better. And actually the better result is you'll be less emotionally scarred from all of that. And that, again, is about being flexible. It's about that malleability, the fact that it can move. It's that hitting the water really hard or really soft. Hit it softer, it hurts an awful lot less. Let's jump through to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8, which says this: "We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair." Verse 9, "Persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed." And what do we see in that verse 8 and 9 from 2 Corinthians chapter 4? We see lots of flexibility, things that have been attacked, but have been sustained. Now, years ago, 15, 20, or 20 years ago for me, I'd set up a worship group and in this church, and there was this lovely couple that used to come along to the practice, and they were really gifted, really great people of God. And we'd finish the practice, and I'd say, "Great, okay, see you guys on Sunday morning." And they would always reply with, "Well, God willing, we'll see you Sunday." And I used to get quite anxious about this. And one day they tackled my apprehension about the way they spoke. And they said, when we're saying God willing, it's saying we don't know if we can be here on Sunday, not because we don't have any intentions of not being here, but because we can't state that we absolutely, definitely will, because who can read the future? They weren't pessimistic either. They were just taking God's word and applying it into their daily lives. And rather than saying, "Yes, we'll be there," they would say, "Well, God willing, we'll be there. Our intention is to be there, but we can't state that we absolutely categorically will because we can't see into the future. We don't know what's going to happen between a Thursday night and a Sunday morning." The Japanese suffered at the end of the Second World War in one specific way, which really helps us with this. And they suffered because all their buildings were destroyed by those 2 nuclear bombs that were dropped. I'm not going into how that ended the war and the politics and all that. But what happened was they had to rebuild their infrastructure. And there's a really good lesson here for what they did and what we now see around the world. Because when you build a building, if you build it super strong and hard so it can't bend and it's really tough and all the rest of it, a bit like the bravado of that guy from the US military, well, it's easy to snap when the earthquake happens because it has to be able to flex to the situation. So what we see around the world, bridges, various bits of infrastructure, including high-rise buildings, are built with flexibility. So when the earthquake comes and it starts to move the stuff up the ground and all this, the building flexes with it and the bridge flexes with it. And all of a sudden, this thing is able to be enduring. And enduring and flexibility are really important. See where we're going with this? This is the end of our second season of endurance. But flexibility and endurance go hand in hand together. If you want to have endurance, you need to be flexible. If you want to get to the finish line, it's no point in saying, "I'm going to go from here to there. That's what I'm going to do, and that's the end of it." Well, if you've got an obstacle in front of your way that you weren't expecting and you refuse to move, a bit of an extreme example, you're never going to reach the finishing line. And we are in a race as Christians to get to the end. Not a race to rush to the end, but a race where we need endurance and to sustain. And we need people cheering us on. This is the Christian walk. And what we see in that James 4, chapter 4 reading, from verse 13, is people who are making plans for tomorrow with no consideration of the present. And although it's good to plan for the future, we need to live in the present. Tomorrow never, ever comes. It's a phrase which, when you think about it, it has far deeper truths than at first it might appear. And when we're thinking about being flexible, if you're going to go out for a run with your club, or you're going to jump on in your canoe and go canoeing, or you're going surfing or rock climbing or whatever it is you're going to do, one of the first things you will never not do is warm up your muscles. You're going to spend some time doing that, aren't you? You're going to flex. You're going to get your muscles warmed up so they're ready to go. We talked about this last week about being ready for church. And in the same way with your flexibility, if you've done that bending first and that stretching of the muscles and all that stuff, when it comes to having to perform up that rock face or on that bike or in that run, you're going to be able to do it because you're prepared to do so. Check out last week's episode for more on that. But what's that got to do with being flexible? Well, we need to be flexible in our approach to life because we cannot state what's going to happen in the future. We can make some really good predictions, but we don't know. God does. So being flexible is so important when we're thinking about endurance. And when we're thinking about endurance, being flexible is so important. If we want to endure, we need to be flexible to life as it comes along. So when you switch on and in your studio at home and it's not working for you, you need some flexibility to think, what is it we've done differently? Take a step back. If you're really hard into it and you're trying to just rush and finish, you're going to have a mess. Or like me, get frustrated. So let's be flexible in our lives, because when we do that, we allow God far more opportunity to input into our life so we can input into the lives of others. And if you think your effort isn't good enough, just remember that God takes what we do. We might think of it as our pathetic little offering. It's the wrong attitude. That's another endurance to deal with that one. But we might think of it as our pathetic little offering, but actually God then magnifies what we do in offering to him, and then it becomes great. Not we become great. Our offering to God can be made great by God. And it's that can be that's important, because that's our flexibility. So let's be flexible before God. Let's not assume we know everything. Let's have flexibility built into what we're going to do. If we don't pray in the morning and it all goes wrong and we haven't read our Bible and been late for work, well, there's always tomorrow. So don't expect it to be the same. Let's try something different. Get up a bit earlier. Buy a new alarm clock, whatever it is we've got to do. Let's try and get to our goal, but let's build flexibility in all that we do, whether it's exercise physically or the far more important spiritual exercise. Let's be flexible, and then we can allow God to do more in our lives so we can be far more effective for his kingdom building here on earth when we allow him into our lives by being flexible.
Let's pray. Andy's going to come on and show us how to pray. Excellent. What have you got there?
It's my world's atlas,
Okay.
so I can pray for the world.
Okay.
You see, pray's good.
Right. Okay. You're going to show us how to do that then?
Yeah. So I've got my atlas, and if you go to the letter A, I'm going to start here. So
Yeah.
please God, please bless our Ben Ra and our Chun and our Borg.
What did you like about the story?
Bob
Bob. You like Bob?
and the stick. We like sticks.
You like the stick?
We like sticks a
Well-
lot. I do.
Okay. Well, we'll try and make sure there's some more stories with sticks in,
Thank
Dave,
you.
especially for you.
So it's a common misconception that a healthy muscle is simply strong. A healthy muscle needs to be flexible as well, and that applies to the rest of life, as we've just learned. Taking each change of plan in our stride, these are all good stuff that we need to do, and always keeping in mind James 4:13, that scripture. Maybe read that for yourself, get a good bit of context on that one.
And just like Andy B said, we need to make sure our muscles are flexible physically, because otherwise we can cause damage if we're not able to flex them, if we're not able to stretch them, and of course they can't do their job properly. And the same way, spiritually, we need to make sure we're flexible. Otherwise we can damage ourselves and damage other people, and we're not going to be as effective to work for God.
#go do.
There are loads of ways to keep in touch with the Berry Bunch. Visit our website and make sure you sign up to the blog and get notified on all our videos, posts, exciting news and seasonal events. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get told when we post brand new video resources. Take a look over Dingdash, a fabulous place that connects people from all over the world. Like us on Facebook, where we hang out and post extra stuff to encourage and inspire you. We're on Instagram too, and share extra photos when we're out and about. And if you're enjoying, using or sharing what we do, visit us over on Patreon, and you can become part of the extended Berry Bunch family by supporting us with the cost of all we do.